Hello, everybody. Welcome to this series of podcasts in which we will be discussing one of the most important issues in our society, gender equality in the workplace. This is the second part of this series of podcasts. As we said in the last podcast, the gender pay gap in the European Union remains around the 14%, while women face a higher under-unemployment rate than men. As a result, a partnership of 6 different European countries, Greece, Spain, Malta, Portugal, the Netherlands, and Cyprus, is implementing the Equalizer project, which strives to promote gender equality in the contemporary workplace by assisting private firms in implementing gender mainstream strategies. To do so, we conduct a national research where all partners map the current situation of gender equality challenges in the workplace of the countries, in order to identify these type of gaps and needs for gender equality in the workplace. Additionally, based on the outcomes of this research, we created 2 digital gender equality training courses, one for the leadership and the other one for the employees of a company to help them to improve their workplace gender equality. We have also created a digital assessment tool to evaluate the company's gender equality status. Finally, to raise awareness, we are aiming to create a series of podcast episodes and a workshop, which is also why we are conducting you. The project targets adults at all levels of an enterprise who are interested in implementing gender mainstream tactics and promoting gender equality. So hello again and welcome to today's podcast initiated by the Equalizer project. I am working as a researcher representing Spain on the Equalizer project, and my name is Marta. Today I am here with Laura Ibáñez. She's a university student who is in her last year of the degree. In this podcast, we will be discussing some interesting topics related to gender equality with her. So welcome, Laura. How are you? First of all, I want to thank you very much for participating in this podcast. It's very important for us to know how women feel about equality in the workplace, especially young women like you and like me too. Finally, we are the future, I think, and our opinion must be very important as we are about to finish our degrees and we are open to the professional world.
Good afternoon, Marta. I'm happy as well to take part in this podcast as we are discussing such an important topic in nowadays society.
Oh, thank you very much. So, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit more?
Of course. My name is Laura Ibáñez, and I'm a student in the last year of translation and interpreting. And I do really like my degree, and I am eager to start working as a translator, as a woman working person.
That's fantastic. So if it's all right with you and you are prepared, let's start with the interview. So I think that one of the most important issues when we talk about equality is the pay gap. What factors do you think that contribute to this wage gap between men and women?
Well, I believe we still live in a world in which men are seen as the dominant figure in the labor market, and men tend to occupy better posts, which are those with better conditions and higher wages. I suppose employers generally still consider men as better candidates in comparison to women, although they've got similar CVs. In those cases in which both women and men have the same posts and different salaries, is usually related to productivity pay. Men are normally better rewarded than women.
Totally.
Furthermore, I think women are usually who are in charge of children and housework, maybe because of our society ideology nowadays. That way, it is quite common that women have part-time jobs, and thus they earn less money.
Yeah, that's right. So, do you think that in this point we don't have like an advancement in this topic? We we continue like in the past.
Yeah, totally agree. I think there is a movement which is called feminist movement, and I think we're making some progress. I think we're fighting to reach equality, and that men are gradually being involved in this
That's
fight.
true.
But somehow there are a lot of inequalities in the labor market. It remains in our society.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And how can organizations address these disparities?
I would say that organizations should itemize wages so that they are as clear as possible, and that way unfair situations and concerning wages would be reduced, as employers would have to justify every payment. I mean, that way they won't be able to reward men in a better way than they reward women.
Yeah, that's totally a very good idea. And do you think that introducing this type of projects as equalizer project, we can contribute to make a better environment in the workplace?
Yes, I think so. I think.
Well, do you feel that, for example, the European Union must invest in this type of projects to involve women in the workplace and make the situations better? Do you think that?
Yes, I totally think so, because I think the progress of our society is something which could be really satisfying for all of us. I think it could be beneficial for everybody, not just for women. So
Yeah.
I think this investment from the European Union could contribute in this progression or evolution of society.
Yeah. Also, these projects are very helpful for entrepreneurs because sometimes they don't see what's the very key to involve women in the workplace and to make them feeling better or not better, but in an equality environment.
Yes, I think employers should attend talks and be aware of the problem which women are facing, and I really think this is way important. The thing is, employers should understand what's going on, and of course they are not. It is normal that sometimes they
feel confused, for
yeah,
example.
they
But
feel
I think that the key is that an employer has like the spirit of change, because if they don't want to change their way of working and the environment of their workplace, the change
yes, but
won't come.
as I always say, the key for that is education, but not education. Well, yes, education when you're an adult, but especially when you're a child.
Yeah.
And of course, you're learning about how life works, and if your environment is an environment in which women are supported, or an environment in which you are able to learn about these problems, then you will have this spirit you're talking about.
That's totally true. So, do you have any close or personal experience of someone who has been discriminated because of being a woman in a workplace? Because in the last podcast with another girl like you, Andrea, she told us like some experiences that they have experienced in some workplaces that, well, they were like sad, very
Upsetting,
sad,
yes, quite
because
upsetting.
I don't understand why in our society in 2024 year this type of problems continue happening in this world.
Yeah. Personally, I have never worked, but a friend of mine is a waitress since I think since 2020, and she works as a waitress, and she has several times come to my house and claimed about situations which nobody would want to live, to experience, because waitress, this is something that we all should talk about, but for some reason nobody talks about it. But sometimes waitress are victims of verbal abuse.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have to deal with people who are intoxicated, with intoxicated clients.
Yeah, are drunk or
yeah.
something like that.
When you have to deal with this type of people, sometimes you have to face some comments about your image, or some comments which are discriminating.
Yeah, related with sexuality or things like that.
That's it.
That would be very rude. I haven't experienced it, but all women, I think, we have experienced being walking in the street and suddenly a man appears and shouts at you, "Oh,
Yes,
what a beautiful woman," and they think that that's correct, but
yeah. I mean, if
I cannot imagine if I were working and someone tell me things like that, and what do you do? So I think that employers, especially in these situations, like in restaurants or clubs, I think that they have to have in mind these type of things and know that these situations are happening every day, and say no to these type of clients, and
create an environment in which women feel safe. As long as they are working, at least. What I was going to say is that if this happens in the street, then it will happen in your post,
in every place.
in your workplace. So yes, if feminist movement is fighting to stop these things happening in the streets, we all want to stop these situations to happen in our jobs as well.
Okay, talking a little bit about recruitment methods, you haven't worked at all, so you won't have had any recruitment interview. But have you ever felt that being a woman could be a disadvantage at the time of going to an interview?
Well, as you said, I have never been interviewed for any post, but it is well known that women usually have to answer personal questions about their family details or her plans surrounding pregnancy. Well, men are not forced to share that type of information during interviews. Sometimes we have never thought about it. And we have to answer these kind of questions and feel like really frustrated.
Because it has nothing with your professional labor. There are some personal questions that have nothing to do with your degree or your level of English, French, Spanish, and why are you asking me those type of questions? And probably next to you there is a man that won't be asked these questions.
Yeah, maybe if your answer is yes, I'm planning to have a child, and
Yeah.
for example, I'm 22, I'm not having a child like really soon, but maybe in 5 years, in 7 years,
Yeah.
and imagine you answer yes, I plan to have a child or to
Yeah,
raise
or
a
to,
family.
or to get married
Yeah,
or whatever.
In several years, and imagine this person says to you that you cannot get the post because you want to get pregnant, and maybe the employer is hiring someone who is a man, but who has less qualities than you.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
I think it is unfair that because of being the person who gave birth, we have less opportunities in labor market. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true, because both dad and mom, fathers and mothers have to do the same things at home. That's something that our society don't understand very well. But I think that it's a topic on we have to work.
Totally.
And in what ways you think that inclusive leadership can redefine like an organizational culture to create a more diverse and equitable workplace?
Well, I think this is a really controversial topic because there are like a lot of opinions about this, and I think it is quite difficult to reach this equality, at least for the moment, because of the kind of ideology we are having in our society now, as we mentioned before. But I can think about several things of making this situation better. And I think employers should make women feel supported by creating an environment in which they do not feel fear or feel discriminated because of their gender. This can be reached by sanctioning employees whose behavior could make those women feel discriminated. I mean, these women are their female co-workers, and sometimes they feel discriminated or sad about this kind of chauvinist behavior. This behavior would include comments about their image and clothes, as we mentioned before with the verbal abuse. Of course, harassment, which is disadvantage which women have to deal with just because of the reason of being a woman.
Yeah.
I mean, the opportunity to feel harassed or to feel discriminated or being abused. So yes, another thing of fighting for equality, I've just thought about it, would be mixed teamworks with a goal to reach, so men can see women as a partner who can present the same qualities as them, as men, to get something. I mean, I think sometimes men are learned through their lives that women are not as good as them just because they're women. I mean, sometimes they feel like women are just a figure in their lives who will feed them their children, and I think this is completely wrong. I mean, they have to learn women can be as good as them. Of course they can. I mean, it is really upsetting to think that they really think uh, they are not that good to reach those goals in our posts. I mean,
And probably if you ask these men, and why you don't consider your partner with the same capacities as you, they probably won't say anything.
Yeah, they cannot answer it because it is something that they've learned through their lives, and maybe because it is not. Maybe it is not because they've listened to it in any kind of situation, but it is like deep learning that we have in our childhood or our young years. And I think this should be solved by using education, of course.
I think that education is totally the key of the change. And talking about these advantages that we have nowadays in our society, technology is one of the most important advances nowadays. Do you think that the use of technology is playing a role in advancing gender equality, especially in the workplace?
Yes, I totally think technology is an advantage when talking about progressing in the image of women in the workplace. I think social networking play a really important role when talking about reporting cases of inequality in labor market. It is really useful for these cases, but also for any kind of discrimination related to our ethnic origin or any other reason why people are discriminated. I think it is really useful because it is a way of reaching a lot of people so that feminist movement can act against these situations. It is a way of talking about what is happening. It is a way of expressing our feelings and our fear of being discriminated at work. And social networking could be a fantastic tool to solve this problem.
Yeah, and how do you think that companies can create a more supportive environments in their enterprises or workplaces, things like that? So many ideas.
Yes, as I said, these problems should be a topic which is generally in everybody's minds, especially in the ones of those who can't fix them, who are employers. Sanctions to people who impede women feel safe in their workplace is a great solution. But organizations should also create a department designated to listen to women who have any kind of problem at work related to their gender or any claim about discrimination by their superiors.
Oh, that's too good. So, well, the interview is coming to an end, sadly. Thank you very much, Laura, for participating in this project. I'm sure that your words will be very useful for so many women that will be watching this podcast, and also for entrepreneurs, as we have said before. So, would you like to send a final message to working men, working women, or to entrepreneurs?
Yes, totally. I think one of the most important things of feminist movement is to keep fighting. I mean, it is we live in a really difficult situation as women, which is fortunately progressing to a better situation, but we have to keep fighting. We have to continue giving this importance to equality. And that's why I invite all working women and entrepreneurs to try not to give up and keep educating themselves, learning, working as much as they can, developing themselves as a person, being successful, reaching a successful professional career, and I invite them to avoid feeling fear and keep fighting. That's the final message I want to communicate. We all must keep fighting to reach equality, because it is our responsibility. Don't you think?
Your words are fantastic, and as I said before, I think that your words will be very useful for so many people. So, well, in this podcast, we have been able to hear a first-hand testimony of Laura, a student who has experienced near situations in their groups of people that surrounded you. And it's an opportunity to know how young women see the situation in our society nowadays. And I think it's one of the most important things nowadays to have on count. Mm-hmm. So we are getting closer and closer to achieving equality, but there is still a long way to go. So for finish, I want to thank you all for listening, and thank you, Laura, for being here and telling your opinion, your words, and your testimony. So it's a pleasure for us to have been here, and thank you very much for seeing this video. Bye.
Goodbye.